They're known for their impeccable appearances, but anyone who lives in the spotlight long enough is going to have a bad hair day. Even the Trumps.
Is the secret out about the president's unusual hairstyle?
They say you wear the worst hairpiece I've ever seen. What a horrible wig. No, I mean, it's actually my hair.
According to Fire and Fury, Inside the Trump White House by Michael Wolff, President Donald Trump's hair is apparently a much talked about topic around the White House, at least for his daughter Ivanka. In his book, Wolff claims Ivanka often mocks her father's do and enjoys explaining how Trump's look is achieved to friends.
Yeah, it is funny because it's the only hair we've ever known, but people seem fascinated.
Wolff writes, she often describes the mechanics behind it to friends: an absolutely clean pate, a contained island after scalp reduction surgery, surrounded by a furry circle of hair around the sides and front, from which all ends are drawn up to meet in the center and then swept back and secured by a stiffening spray. Plastic surgeon Ellie Levine told the Washington Post that the scalp reduction surgery, or scalp rotation surgery, is when flaps of the scalp containing hair are basically stretched and sewn into place to move hair around the head. Levine states that these surgeries, which were designed to cover bald spots, are outdated and often cause hair to grow back in odd patterns. He noted, "It forces you to groom the hair in a very particular way to look, if not normal, then normal-ish." As for the unnatural color of Trump's do,
cornstalk yellow.
Yellow. Cornflake yellow.
Tuscan surprise. Buttery silver brass.
well, apparently the hue is a result of bad at-home dye jobs. Wolff wrote, "The color was from a product called Just for Men. The longer it was left on, the darker it got. Impatience resulted in Trump's orange blonde hair color. Guess that solves one mystery."
Getting a little breezy out here. I'm not liking it.
Whether we like it or not, President Donald Trump's hair has been a seemingly daily source of fascination ever since he came down that escalator to announce he was running for office. Jimmy Fallon caught heat in 2016 for running his hands through Trump's hair on his show.
Can I mess your hair up?
And in 2020, it was revealed that the president spent $70,000 on styling his hair, at least during his apprentice days. Now, Trump's hair has captured the internet's attention all over again, and not because there was a fly in it. Trump finally stepped out after an unusually long period of silence on November 13, 2020. But there was one thing that was immediately clear when Trump eventually reappeared. His hair did not seem to be its signature shade of brassy yellow. Instead, the outgoing president's signature locks had seemingly turned gray within a week. Obviously, Twitter had some thoughts about this latest development. The change was subtle enough that it was easy to miss, but once seen, it was impossible to unsee. Lest you think his hair simply went to a lighter shade of blonde, one tweeter threw the sitting president into Photoshop to make the definitive claim, "For your reference, I have sampled his hair color. It's gray." Of course, there were plenty of jokes and schadenfreude to go around. Another user wrote, "It appears Donald Trump's hair dye has conceded." Yet another tweeted, "Trump's hair went from gold to silver because he came in second place." A few people suggested that the change in Trump's hair color was a deliberate choice to look like another candidate. A tweeter said, "Trump probably thinks he can pass for Biden if he stops dyeing his hair." Another seconded this theory, claiming he dyed it that color to look more like our president-elect. We may never know why Donald Trump does much of what he does, but it sure can be fun to speculate. While Donald Trump's gray hair caused quite a buzz, it's not the first time his hair has made headlines. For instance, back in March of 2020, Trump's hair was also a grayer shade at a daily press briefing tied to the pandemic. Vogue deemed his then gray hair, quote, "just his latest political tactic." Per the outlet, one Twitter user theorized that Trump was seeking a more dignified look for the 2020 race, which would certainly align with his brazen political strategizing in the face of a global crisis. And at that same event, Trump also reportedly bragged about his hair being real, despite rumors that he may wear a toupee. He said at the time, "My hair is blowing around, and it's mine. That's one thing you can't get away with. If it's not yours, then you've got a problem if you're president."
It's not bad, right? I actually have a hairline, too.
Pretty good.
Proving just how fascinated the internet is with what's atop Trump's head, there's a whole Twitter account dedicated to the president's locks, with the handle Trump's hair. The parody account's bio reads, "HOTUS, hair of the United States." And while there are likely ample other joke accounts out there, that particular one boasts, "The only real Twitter account of Trump's hair. All others are hashtag fake hair. I'm on top of the man who is on top of the world."
It's my hair. I swear.
Sandy shags, sporty do's, and channeling his inner Paul McCartney. Barron Trump may still only be a teen, but his hairstyle has gone through many transformations over the years. Speaking to the Palm Beach Post in 2006, Donald Trump's late butler, Tony Senecal, shared his thoughts on what Barron Trump was like as a baby. He told the outlet, "He has his mother's disposition, his dad's mouth, and his grandfather's hairline. When Barron was born, his living grandfather, Victor Knaus, actually had thicker hair than Donald. When Donald got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2007, Barron didn't yet possess enough hair for his stylist to craft it into an elaborate forehead canopy. However, the tot's feathery bangs were long enough to comb to the side. So, just like his dad, Barron was using what hair he had available to cover a Barron spot on his temple. In the sunlight, Barron's hair color almost matched his father's. Comparisons between the two Trumps were made easier when Donald introduced Barron to the audience. Willingly sharing the spotlight is a rare move for the reality TV alum, but he seemed eager to show off his new apprentice. His focus wasn't on what was atop Barron's head, but inside it, Donald said at the event. That's Barron. He's strong, he's smart, he's tough, he's vicious, he's violent. All of the ingredients you need to be an entrepreneur. And most importantly, hopefully he's smart because smart is really the ingredient.
He's always been a very good student. He's smart.
Barron's hair had experienced some explosive growth by the time he met Santa Claus at Mar-a-Lago in 2008. It had also turned a sandy shade, which prevented it from blending in with the gaudy gold decor he grew up around in Trump Tower. If his healthy-looking head of hair was in any way related to his diet, he likely had his mom to thank. Melania told Bella NYC in 2011, "I take vitamins A, C, and E to keep my skin, hair, and nails healthy." Some toddlers get the office scissors special from their parents when they need a trim. After all, it's not like they're going to notice that their bangs are comically uneven. But when you're a 2-year-old who's got places to go and important people to see, mom's handiwork just won't cut it. Someone who knew their way around hair-cutting shears clearly helped Barron prepare for his meeting with jolly old Saint Nick, as his hair appeared to be point-cut to create textured layers. They were long enough in front that they had to be slightly swept to the side to keep them out of his eyes. Barron didn't go full-on Lloyd from Dumb and Dumber for the 2014 Trump Invitational Grand Prix, but his poofy haircut did slightly resemble a bowl cut. Barron's hairstyle was longer near the ears and didn't have blunt edges, which helped make it look a bit less like a golden bowl from his parents' Midas-touched dishware collection. The front was also tousled a bit to keep it from voyaging into helmet territory. On the step and repeat, Barron snagged a photo with country singer Hunter Hayes, who performed at the event. Hayes' hair was giving Justin Bieber's pompadour circa 2012, while Barron was channeling the Biebs during his baby era. One of Barron's most awkward moments caught on camera came at the 2016 RNC, when he just couldn't stop fidgeting as his father and other political figures failed to keep him entertained. Unfortunately for Barron, when it was finally over and he got to leave, he likely couldn't just hop straight into bed. His hair was so loaded with product that it would risk ruining his pillowcase. Instead of trying to look like his dad's mini-me, Barron wore his hair slicked down with a side part. Perhaps Melania Trump had some say in the decision to have the tween sport a dapper, sophisticated hairstyle, so unlike his dad's mangled strands of gold. By then, she was well aware of how often her husband's hair was ridiculed. In a 2012 interview with Hello, she even suggested that his brittle-looking hair damaged his chances of having a presidential bid taken seriously. Melania told the outlet, "Some people like to talk negatively, but they don't really know what kind of empire he built. They would prefer to joke about his hair than about what he achieved." Donald later deflated his hair for an event in 2019. With his tumbleweed topper all ironed out, he somewhat resembled Barron at the RNC. In a 2012 interview with Parenting Magazine, Melania revealed that Barron viewed his dad as an aspirational figure. She shared, "When he was 5 years old, he wanted to be like Daddy, a businessman and golfer." Melania also said something interesting about her and Donald's parenting style. She stated, "If Barron says no, we listen to him. It's no, and we don't try to change it. It's important to let them be who they are."
I let him be who he is. He's my child.
Melania further revealed that Barron is a natural-born builder, and the proof is in the prodigious height of his hair at Donald's 2017 inauguration. The former first son used Lego bricks to build when he was younger, but his inauguration hairstyle was constructed out of countless strands of hair stacked up and swooped over to create a wavy mini tower with a ton of volume. It was even higher than Donald's hair pile. Barron's hair looks much different when it isn't loaded with product and fashioned into skyscraping waves. In 2017, he was photographed departing the White House with his parents. The family was headed to Mar-a-Lago for the weekend, and since he wasn't stepping out for a special event, it seems that Barron decided to keep his look more casual. When left to its own devices, his hair appeared a bit darker than it had after being styled for past events. His thick fringe was also so long that a few strands appeared to be blocking his vision, and the style resembled the mop tops the Beatles rocked during their early years. There's no word on whether Barron is a fan of the Fab Four, but Donald Trump told Rolling Stone that Paul McCartney is a musician he really admires.
Paul McCartney, terrific guy.
With Barron's hair combed down, it was easier to see how layers had been used to make it appear thicker. His mom also possesses locks that always look healthy and shiny, so perhaps she passed some of her hair care secrets on to him. Melania once told Talking Makeup that she's a fan of Yarrick Serum, an organic blend of sesame, coconut, and essential oils. She told the outlet, "It gives back nutrients to my hair that other products have taken away." Barron was photographed in profile in 2019, which made it evident just how much his hairstyle mirrored that of his father's reverse coif. Like his dad, Barron was rocking a forehead covering that resembled a rock ledge with a substantial overhang. In the 90s, men's grooming specialist Losi got the inside scoop on how Donald styles his own hair. In an interview with the Daily Beast, she repeated what a member of Donald's team told her. He starts from the back, he combs it forward so it reaches down past his nose, and then he folds it back and then he sprays it.
And my hair's blowing around, and it's mine.
It seems that Barron started taking hairstyling notes from his father, as his forehead hair looked long enough to reach his nose. However, it was combed to the side rather than folded back to create a loop. His hair color also had far more dimension than Donald's. Barron presumably had to use some form of spray to get his hair to protrude like that without collapsing. In 2020, Barron was photographed sporting a sporty crew cut that was shaved on the sides and short up top. With little or no product in it, his hair appeared a bit fuzzy. Chopping off its golden length also left it a sandy blonde color, bordering on full-on brunette. Barron was photographed rocking the new haircut while wearing a lightweight varsity jacket. He seemed to be really leaning into his status as an athlete, which had been making headlines for a few years by then. In 2017, there were reports that the passionate young soccer player had joined DC United's under-12 team, and on the overlap, former Manchester United striker Wayne Rooney revealed this about Barron's dad.
And he asked me to give his son football lessons.
Barron was apparently so excited when the English athletic icon showed up at the White House that he invited Rooney to visit his dad in the Oval Office. By lopping off so much of his hair, Barron removed the risk of it flopping around in front of his eyes. It was a suitable style for almost any sport, but Donald would have preferred to see it on a basketball court. Donald told a crowd of rally-goers that he begged Barron to start hooping because his height would be advantageous. However, the teen wasn't interested in swapping sports. In 2021, Americans were still grappling with a global pandemic, so who can blame Barron for letting his hair grow out during that chaotic time? Many salons had to shut down in 2020, and a lot of Americans were staying at home, so shaggy heads and DIY haircuts became the new norm. It's unclear whether Barron's longer hairstyle was a necessity or a conscious choice, but it was still reflective of the times. The then 15-year-old was photographed exiting Trump Tower with his mom in July 2021. His hair was wavy with side wings, making it reminiscent of Harry Styles' iconic One Direction hairstyle. However, the curls in Barron's floppy coif weren't quite as abundant. Barron's hair was also far darker than normal, making it closer to his mother's hair color than his father's. Some people were also stunned at how different Barron looked from past photos. One person wrote on X, "I swear to God this kid isn't the same kid from last year. Dude's been a light blonde child one day, 17-year-old looking brunette a month later, and now a 6'7" stranger." Many of Donald Trump's nearest and dearest gathered with him at St. John's Episcopal Church for the pre-inauguration prayer service. Among those present for the religious ceremony were the 47th president's children, including his youngest son, Barron. Only this time, Barron was sporting a new hairdo eerily reminiscent of his older half-brothers Donald Jr. and Eric. As evidenced by photos, Barron's signature locks were slicked back so far that some might have even thought he got a haircut. Yep, that's right, folks. While Barron's famous father's classic comb-over is still holding on for dear life, Barron has opted to join the ranks of Don Jr. and Eric and forego the style altogether. Interestingly enough, just 2 days prior to the 2025 inauguration, Barron was seen boarding a United States military plane en route to Washington, D.C. In the video footage, Barron was sporting his signature thick and fluffy side-swept do. However, the footage wasn't exactly flattering. While pausing for a photo op before boarding the plane, Barron's usually perfect hair was flapping in the breeze. Perhaps it was the less than aesthetically pleasing photo op that prompted Barron to change things up? The world may never know.